Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow morning and suddenly every impulse you have, every distraction, every temptation, every emotional reaction is under your control. Someone insults you, you stay calm, opportunity appears, you act immediately. Fear shows up, you move forward anyway. Now ask yourself something honestly. How different would your life look if you were in control instead of your emotions being in control of you? Because the truth is this: people talk about talent, people talk about luck, people talk about connections, but the real superpower, self-control, and nobody really talks about it. Most people hear the word discipline and immediately imagine something negative. They picture strict rules, restrictions, and a life where everything feels controlled and limited. Discipline sounds like waking up early when you would rather sleep, saying no to things that feel good in the moment, or pushing yourself to work when your mind is begging for a break. Because of this, many people see discipline as something that takes away their freedom. They believe that if they could just live without limits, doing whatever they want, whenever they want, that would be the real definition of freedom. But the truth is far more surprising. What most people call freedom is often just the absence of control. And when there is no control, life slowly becomes chaotic, directionless, and ultimately limiting. Think about it carefully. When someone cannot control their habits, their time, or their impulses, they are not actually free. A person who cannot control their spending becomes trapped in debt. A person who cannot control their emotions damages relationships and opportunities. A person who cannot control their focus finds it almost impossible to build something meaningful over time. What looks like freedom at first eventually becomes a cage built from small, uncontrolled decisions. Without discipline, every distraction becomes powerful, every temptation becomes persuasive, and every challenge becomes overwhelming. Life begins to feel like it is happening to you instead of being shaped by you. The absence of discipline doesn't expand your options, it quietly removes them. Real freedom begins the moment you gain control over yourself. Discipline gives you the ability to choose actions that move you forward instead of being pulled in every direction by momentary feelings. It allows you to decide what matters most and protect it from the noise of everyday life. When you are disciplined, you can wake up with a purpose instead of waiting for motivation to appear. You can stay focused on a goal even when distractions surround you. You can continue moving forward even on the days when nothing feels easy. That kind of consistency creates progress, and progress creates opportunities. Over time, those opportunities turn into choices, and those choices are the true definition of freedom. Consider someone who develops the discipline to manage their time and energy. While others constantly feel rushed and overwhelmed, this person moves with clarity and direction. They finish what they start. They make room for learning, growth, and improvement. Because they stay consistent with their effort, they slowly become more skilled and more reliable. Opportunities begin to appear, not because of luck, but because discipline makes them ready when those opportunities arrive. The freedom they experience doesn't come from doing less. It comes from being capable of doing more. Discipline expands their world instead of shrinking it. Another powerful aspect of discipline is the ability to delay immediate pleasure in exchange for something far more meaningful later. Human nature naturally pulls us toward comfort and quick rewards. It is easier to avoid difficult work, easier to choose entertainment over effort, and easier to stay where things feel familiar. Discipline interrupts that pattern. It teaches you to look beyond the moment and see the long-term impact of your choices. Every time you choose effort over comfort, focus over distraction, and patience over impulse, you strengthen your ability to shape your future. That strength grows quietly but steadily, and it becomes one of the most valuable abilities a person can develop. Over time, disciplined actions begin to compound in ways that are almost invisible at first. A single day of focus may not seem impressive. One early morning of work might not change much immediately. One decision to resist a distraction might feel small. But when those decisions are repeated day after day, week after week, and year after year, they begin to build momentum. Skills improve, confidence grows, and progress accelerates. The person who once struggled to stay consistent becomes someone who naturally moves forward with purpose. What once felt difficult becomes a normal part of life. Discipline transforms from something that requires effort into something that creates stability and strength. Perhaps the most powerful reason discipline leads to freedom is because it removes the constant struggle between intention and action. Many people know what they want. They want better health, stronger relationships, greater success, and a more meaningful life. Yet without discipline, their daily choices do not align with those desires. They feel stuck between what they hope for and what they actually do. Discipline closes that gap. It aligns actions with values and turns goals into steady progress. Instead of feeling controlled by circumstances, disciplined individuals feel capable of directing their own path. Their choices are intentional rather than reactive, and their lives begin to reflect the direction they have chosen rather than the impulses they happen to feel in a moment. Human emotions are incredibly powerful forces. They shape how we see the world, how we respond to people, and how we interpret our experiences. Joy can lift us higher than we ever imagined, while fear can make even small challenges seem overwhelming. Anger can push us to act without thinking, and doubt can quietly convince us that we are not capable of more. Because emotions feel so strong and immediate, many people begin to believe that emotions should guide every decision they make. They wait until they feel motivated before starting something important. They wait until they feel confident before taking a risk. They wait until they feel ready before stepping toward their goals. But the problem with letting emotions take control is simple. Emotions change constantly, and when your actions depend entirely on them, your progress becomes unstable. Think about how often feelings shift throughout a single day. In the morning, you might feel optimistic and energized. A few hours later, one difficult conversation or unexpected problem can drain that energy completely. Motivation can disappear faster than it arrived. Confidence can fade the moment something goes wrong. If your actions depend on those emotional waves, then your effort will rise and fall just as quickly. Some days you will move forward with passion, and other days you will stop completely. Over time, this creates a pattern where progress becomes inconsistent and goals remain unfinished. Many dreams fail not because people lack talent or intelligence, but because they rely too heavily on emotions to drive their actions. Self-control introduces a different approach. Instead of waiting for emotions to lead, you learn to lead your emotions. This does not mean ignoring how you feel or pretending that emotions do not exist. Emotions are valuable signals, and they often reveal important truths about our experiences. However, self-control teaches you that emotions are information, not commands. They can influence your thoughts, but they do not have to dictate your behavior. When you develop this ability, you gain the power to act according to your commitments rather than your temporary feelings. Even when motivation fades, you continue the work. Even when fear appears, you move forward carefully but confidently. Even when doubt whispers in your mind, your actions remain steady. One of the most powerful examples of this principle appears during moments of difficulty. Everyone eventually faces challenges that test their patience, their determination, and their belief in themselves. During these moments, emotions often become louder than logic. Frustration may tell you to quit. Fear may tell you to avoid the risk. Disappointment may convince you that the effort is not worth it anymore. Without self-control, these emotional reactions can quickly take over. But when you learn to pause and regain control, you create a space between feeling and action. In that space, you can choose the response that aligns with your long-term goals instead of reacting automatically to the pressure of the moment. Another important aspect of emotional control is understanding that motivation itself is unreliable. Many people wait for motivation to arrive before they begin important work. They believe that once they feel inspired, the effort will become easier and progress will naturally follow. However, motivation rarely appears consistently. It often shows up after action has already begun, not before. Self-control allows you to start even when motivation is absent. You begin the work because it matters, not because it feels exciting in the moment. Strangely enough, once you take that first step, motivation often begins to grow. Progress creates energy, and effort generates momentum. What once felt difficult becomes manageable simply because you chose to act despite the lack of initial enthusiasm. Emotional control also strengthens relationships and decision-making. In everyday life, there are countless situations where reacting emotionally can cause unnecessary damage. A moment of anger can lead to words that cannot be taken back. A wave of frustration can cause someone to abandon a valuable opportunity. Fear can prevent a person from speaking up when it truly matters. When emotions take control, decisions become reactive instead of thoughtful. Self-control changes that dynamic. It allows you to respond rather than react. Instead of letting anger dictate your words, you pause and choose your response carefully. Instead of letting fear silence you, you acknowledge it while still expressing what needs to be said. Over time, this ability builds trust, respect, and stronger connections with the people around you. Perhaps the greatest advantage of mastering your emotions is the sense of stability it creates in your life. When emotions control your actions, life can feel unpredictable. Your progress depends on how you feel each day, and those feelings can shift without warning. But when self-control becomes stronger than emotional impulses, your direction becomes steady. You still experience the full range of human emotions: joy, frustration, excitement, and doubt. But they no longer control your path. Instead of being pushed around by every emotional current, you remain focused on your commitments and values. Your actions become consistent even when your feelings are not, and that consistency becomes the foundation for real growth and lasting achievement. When people think about strength, they often imagine visible struggles. They picture competition, confrontation, or moments where someone has to prove themselves in front of others. Society celebrates the battles that everyone can see: the athlete competing on the field, the leader making a bold decision, or the individual standing up against obvious obstacles. These moments are powerful, and they deserve recognition. But the truth is that the most important battles in life rarely happen in public. They take place quietly, inside the mind, where no audience is watching and no applause is waiting at the end. Every person experiences these invisible battles almost every day. They appear in moments when you feel the urge to quit something meaningful simply because it has become difficult. They appear when procrastination whispers that you can delay your work until tomorrow. They appear when anger rises and you feel the impulse to react immediately instead of thinking clearly. These are the moments when your character is tested, even though nobody else may notice the struggle happening within you. From the outside, it might look like an ordinary day, but internally you are facing choices that will shape the direction of your life. One of the reasons these battles are so powerful is because they often involve the conflict between what is easy and what is necessary. The easy choice is usually immediate and comfortable. It requires less effort, less patience, and less responsibility. Choosing comfort feels natural in the moment, and the consequences may not appear right away. On the other hand, the necessary choice often requires discipline, patience, and a willingness to endure temporary discomfort. It asks you to focus when distractions are everywhere, to stay consistent when progress feels slow, and to keep moving forward when doubt begins to grow. The struggle between these two paths, comfort and commitment, is where the invisible battle truly exists. What makes these battles even more challenging is the fact that there is no external pressure forcing you to win them. When someone is competing in front of a crowd, there is accountability. When a deadline is publicly announced, there is motivation to deliver results. But the invisible battles happen when no one else is paying attention. There is no audience, no reward waiting immediately, and no obvious consequences in the moment. In these situations, the only thing guiding your decision is your own sense of responsibility. You must rely on your values and self-control rather than external pressure. This is why these private struggles often reveal more about a person than any public achievement. Winning these battles does not always feel dramatic or heroic. Sometimes victory looks simple and quiet. It might be choosing to focus on your work when distractions are everywhere. It might be continuing a project even after enthusiasm has faded. It might be resisting the urge to react emotionally in a heated moment. These decisions may seem small when viewed individually, but they accumulate over time. Each time you choose discipline over distraction, patience over frustration, or persistence over surrender, you strengthen your ability to control your actions. Slowly, these choices build a foundation of inner strength that becomes visible in your results. The invisible battles also shape how you view yourself. Every decision you make sends a message to your own mind about who you are becoming. When you consistently give in to distractions or abandon goals, when they become challenging, your confidence begins to weaken. Doubt grows because your actions no longer align with your intentions. But when you repeatedly overcome those internal struggles, even in small ways, something powerful begins to happen. Your self-trust grows stronger. You begin to believe in your ability to handle difficulty and stay committed, even when circumstances are not ideal. This quiet confidence becomes one of the most valuable qualities a person can develop. Over time, people who consistently win these invisible battles begin to stand out, even if they never talk about the struggles behind their success. Others may see their discipline, their calmness under pressure, or their ability to stay focused when challenges arise. What those observers do not always see are the countless private moments that made those qualities possible. The long hours of effort when nobody was watching, the moments of temptation that were quietly resisted, the doubts that were acknowledged but not allowed to control the outcome. Behind every strong and successful individual is a history of invisible victories that shaped the person they eventually became. When people think about life-changing moments, they often imagine dramatic turning points. They picture a single opportunity, a powerful breakthrough, or one bold decision that instantly transforms everything. Movies, stories, and headlines tend to highlight these rare moments because they feel exciting and memorable. But in real life, lasting success rarely comes from one dramatic event. Instead, it grows quietly from a long chain of small decisions that seem almost insignificant at the time they are made. These tiny choices, repeated day after day, slowly shape the direction of a person's life. Every day is filled with dozens of decisions that appear minor on the surface. Choosing whether to wake up early or stay in bed a little longer may seem small. Deciding whether to focus on meaningful work or scroll through distractions for another hour might not feel important in the moment. Even the choice to respond calmly instead of reacting emotionally during a stressful situation can seem like a simple, ordinary decision. Yet these small moments carry more weight than most people realize. Each one is like a small step on a path, and over time, those steps determine where the path ultimately leads. One of the reasons these decisions are so powerful is because they compound over time. A single productive hour may not seem like a major achievement. One healthy choice may not dramatically change your health overnight. One disciplined decision may not immediately transform your future. But when these choices are repeated consistently, their impact begins to grow. An extra hour of learning each day eventually becomes hundreds of hours of knowledge and skill. A habit of patience and emotional control gradually strengthens relationships and builds trust. Small improvements accumulate slowly at first, but over months and years they create results that appear extraordinary to those who did not witness the daily effort behind them. Unfortunately, the opposite is also true. Small negative decisions can quietly accumulate in the same way. Choosing distractions over productivity occasionally may not seem harmful. Ignoring responsibilities once in a while might feel harmless in the moment. Reacting emotionally instead of thoughtfully during stressful situations may appear minor at first. But when these patterns repeat over time, they begin to shape habits, and habits shape character. Eventually, these repeated decisions influence opportunities, relationships, and long-term outcomes. Just as positive choices compound into progress, negative choices compound into obstacles that are much harder to overcome later. Another important truth about small decisions is that they are often easier to control than big ones. When people set enormous goals, they sometimes feel overwhelmed by the distance between where they are and where they want to be. That gap can make progress feel intimidating. However, focusing on small, manageable actions brings the goal closer and makes improvement feel achievable. Instead of worrying about the entire journey, you concentrate on the next step. Instead of trying to transform everything at once, you simply choose the better option in the moment that is in front of you. Over time, these small actions create a steady rhythm of progress. These daily decisions also influence how you see yourself. Every time you choose discipline, patience, or focus, you reinforce the belief that you are someone capable of growth and responsibility. Your actions begin to match the person you want to become. That alignment between intention and behavior builds confidence and momentum. Gradually, the small choices that once required effort begin to feel natural. Waking up early, staying consistent with your work, or managing your emotions becomes part of your identity rather than something you struggle to maintain. Destiny, in many ways, is not created in a single moment of brilliance or courage. It is built quietly through ordinary days, filled with small choices. Each decision acts like a brick placed in the foundation of your future alone. One brick may seem insignificant, but when thousands of those bricks are placed carefully and consistently, they form something strong and lasting. Over time, the life that emerges from those choices reflects the direction you repeatedly chose, even in the smallest and most ordinary moments. Respect is one of the most valuable things a person can earn in life. It cannot be bought, forced, or demanded. True respect grows slowly through the way a person behaves, the way they respond to pressure, and the way they treat others over time. Many people try to gain respect by appearing confident, speaking loudly, or trying to impress others with their abilities. While confidence and skill can certainly attract attention, they do not always create lasting respect. What truly earns the admiration and trust of others is something deeper and quieter: the ability to control oneself. Self-control reveals a level of maturity and stability that people naturally notice. When someone can manage their emotions, their words, and their reactions, even in difficult situations, it sends a powerful message about their character. Anyone can remain calm when everything is going well, but when pressure rises and emotions become intense, that is when a person's true strength becomes visible. A person with strong self-control does not immediately react with anger, frustration, or panic. Instead, they pause, think, and respond carefully. That calm response shows others that this person can be trusted to handle challenges without creating unnecessary chaos. In many situations, people lose respect not because they lack ability, but because they lack control. A talented individual who constantly reacts emotionally may damage relationships and opportunities. Someone with great ideas may struggle to be taken seriously if they cannot control their impulses or communicate thoughtfully. When emotions take over, words are often spoken without consideration, and actions are taken without thinking about their consequences. These moments may pass quickly, but the impressions they leave behind can last for a long time. Over time, people begin to question whether they can rely on someone who cannot manage their reactions. Self-control also creates an atmosphere of reliability. When people see that you consistently behave with patience and composure, they begin to feel safe placing trust in you. They know that you will not overreact when problems arise. They know that you will not abandon responsibilities when things become difficult. They know that you will approach challenges with thoughtfulness rather than impulsiveness. This reliability becomes the foundation of respect in professional environments, friendships, and leadership roles. People naturally gravitate toward individuals who demonstrate stability and sound judgment. Another reason self-control earns respect is because it shows strength without the need for constant attention. Many people try to prove their strength through loud actions or dramatic displays. They want others to notice their power immediately. But true strength often appears quiet and steady. A person who maintains control over their behavior does not feel the need to prove themselves in every moment. They are comfortable remaining calm, listening carefully, and choosing their responses wisely. This quiet confidence can be more powerful than any display of dominance because it demonstrates a deep sense of self-awareness and discipline. Self-control also plays an important role in how people communicate. Words have the ability to build connections or destroy them. In moments of anger or frustration, it is easy to say things that feel justified in the moment but cause lasting damage later. People who develop strong self-control learn to pause before speaking. They consider how their words might affect others and whether their response will help or harm the situation. This thoughtful communication not only prevents unnecessary conflict, but also shows others that their feelings and perspectives are valued. Over time, these patterns of controlled behavior shape how others perceive you. People begin to associate you with qualities such as patience, fairness, and reliability. They recognize that you can handle responsibility without letting emotions cloud your judgment. As a result, they become more willing to trust you with opportunities, leadership roles, and important decisions. Respect grows not because you demand it, but because your consistent behavior demonstrates that you deserve it. Almost everyone carries a vision of the future in their mind. People imagine a better life, greater success, stronger relationships, financial stability, and a sense of purpose that gives their days meaning. These dreams often feel exciting and inspiring when they first appear. They create hope and motivate people to think about what their lives could become. However, between the dream and the reality lies a long journey filled with decisions, discipline, and persistence. Many people believe that talent, intelligence, or luck will determine who eventually reaches their goals. While those factors can certainly play a role, one quality often makes the greatest difference: the ability to control oneself consistently over time. Self-control acts as the bridge between where a person is today and where they want to be in the future. Dreams alone cannot create change. Ideas and intentions are important starting points, but they must be followed by actions that are repeated again and again. These actions require effort, patience, and the willingness to stay committed even when progress feels slow. Without self-control, it becomes easy to lose focus or abandon the path when obstacles appear. Distractions begin to pull attention away from important goals, and temporary emotions can convince someone to give up too soon. Over time, those moments of lost control quietly delay or even destroy the future someone once hoped to build. One of the greatest challenges people face is that the results of self-control are rarely immediate. When someone makes a disciplined choice today, the reward might not appear until months or even years later. Studying, practicing a skill, building a career, or improving personal habits often requires long periods of effort before visible success begins to emerge. During this time, the temptation to quit can become very strong. Many people begin to wonder whether their effort is truly worth it. This is where self-control becomes essential. It allows a person to remain committed to their long-term vision, even when short-term results are not yet visible. Another reason self-control shapes the future is because it protects people from decisions that can cause lasting damage. Life constantly presents situations where a quick emotional reaction can create consequences far greater than the moment itself. A careless financial choice, an angry outburst, or a decision made purely for immediate pleasure can alter the direction of someone's life in ways they never intended. Self-control acts as a safeguard in these moments. It encourages pause, reflection, and careful thinking before action is taken. This simple habit of slowing down and evaluating choices can prevent mistakes that might otherwise take years to repair. Self-control also strengthens a person's ability to remain focused on meaningful goals despite the endless distractions of modern life. Technology, entertainment, and constant information compete for attention every day. While these things can be enjoyable and useful in moderation, they can also quietly consume the time and energy needed for growth. Without self-control, hours disappear without progress being made. However, when someone learns to manage their attention and prioritize what truly matters, they gain an advantage that many people never develop. Focused effort applied consistently over time leads to skill, experience, and opportunities that gradually shape a stronger future. Another important aspect of self-control is the confidence it builds within a person. Each time someone keeps a promise to themselves, they reinforce their belief that they are capable of achieving what they set out to do. Small acts of discipline, completing a task, resisting a distraction, or staying consistent with a goal strengthens self-trust. Over time, this trust grows into a powerful internal belief, the belief that challenges can be handled and goals can be reached through steady effort. This confidence becomes fuel for future progress, encouraging a person to pursue even greater ambitions. The future is rarely determined by a single dramatic moment. Instead, it is shaped quietly by the choices people make every day. Self-control influences how time is spent, how challenges are handled, and how opportunities are pursued. It determines whether a person continues moving forward when motivation fades and whether they stay focused when distractions appear. Each moment of discipline becomes a step toward the future they once imagined. Gradually, those steps accumulate into progress that cannot be ignored, transforming distant dreams into realities that were built one controlled decision at a time. So when people ask what the real secret to success is, they expect complicated answers. They expect to hear about talent. They expect to hear about luck. They expect to hear about perfect opportunities. But the truth is much simpler than that. Success often comes down to the quiet decisions you make when nobody is watching. The moment you choose discipline over comfort. The moment you choose patience over anger. The moment you choose focus over distraction. The moment you choose persistence over quitting. Those moments may feel small when they happen, but they are shaping your future in ways you cannot yet see. Because every time you control your impulses, every time you stay committed to what matters, every time you refuse to let emotions dictate your actions, you are building something powerful within yourself. You are building the ability to lead your own life. And once you truly master that, once your mind becomes stronger than your impulses, once your discipline becomes stronger than your excuses, you discover a truth that very few people fully understand. The greatest victory you will ever achieve is not over other people. It is over yourself. And when you reach that level of control, when your actions consistently reflect your purpose and your values, there is almost nothing in this world that can stand in your way.